Russia believed its naval power, notably the Black Sea Fleet, to offer a strategic advantage in the Ukraine war. To have Ukraine fight on two fronts, Russia planned to conquer Mariupol, Odesa, and Mykolaiv. The Russian Navy was disappointed and became impotent. Why is the Russian fleet in trouble? Truth about Russian naval power. Before answering that question, we must examine Russia's Navy's power. After all, it's battling a navyless nation. Russia's maritime problems seem unwarranted. We use global firepower to assess power. They rate 145 countries, utilizing over 60 data points to determine the world's most powerful each year. Russia ranks second in 2024, with Ukraine 18th. That's a big gap, but the Gulf's strength, at least on paper, grows when you look at each country's fleet. GFP claims Russia has the strongest navy. With 781 naval assets, it has the most compared to Ukraine's 104. Russia ranks first in asset volume with 65 submarines, 14 destroyers, 12 frigates, and 83 corvettes. Ukraine has no such ships. Patrol and mine warfare ships make up its navy, which has few warships. Russia leads such areas too. With 122 patrol vessels and 47 mine warfare ships, it outnumbers Ukraine by 33-3. The naval fight shouldn't be contested. Russia is losing so many ships in the Black Sea that its navy is ineffective. Ukraine claims to have destroyed a third of the navy, which comprises 60-80 ships and 5,000 men, since February 2024. To see how much this has hurt Russia's naval strategy, examine each strike in order. First loss. First, Ukraine destroyed the Slava-class guided missile cruiser Moskva in April 2022 with 2 Neptune missiles. The Neptune may be fired from land and travel 299 kilometers before detonating with a 149-kilogram explosive warhead. Ukraine's main approach toward Russia's Black Sea Fleet is visible there. It's utilizing missiles from the coast to attack Russian vessels instead of patrol boats. Ukraine won by sinking the Moskva. The destruction of that ship destroyed a ship with 64 S-300 PMU Favorite SAM missiles and a ZIF-122 retractable launcher that could fire 9 M33 missiles. Russia downplayed this ship's loss. It claimed Ukraine hadn't sunk it, but rather its munitions detonation while it fired on Ukraine sparked a fire. That and Black Sea storms sank it. Ukraine soon exposed that deception. In May 2022, Ukraine destroyed 3 Russian Raptor-class patrol boats and damaged 2 more using Turkish Bayraktar drones, which have become a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. High-speed warships that stop sabotage and search and rescue, these boats don't discharge missiles like the Slava class. Ukraine took out some critical Black Sea Fleet support boats without them. The strikes continued. As it sank these ships, news emerged that Ukraine sank the Tapir-class Saratov ship. Next attacks. The Tapir-class landing vessel can bring 1,000 tons of cargo, 313, 440 troops, and 50 vehicles to the Ukrainian coast, making that another significant strike for Ukraine. A 40-tube A-215 Grad rocket artillery launcher, 160 rockets, and 24 SAM missiles are on board. Russia denied the sinking again. Until March 2023, when it accepted defeat. Ukraine reportedly used a Soviet-era Toshka-U ballistic missile to destroy this ship. Russia lost one of its most critical ships for landing troops in South Ukraine, the Saratov, making it harder to construct the second southern front it anticipated would strain Ukraine's army thin. The losses continued. A 02510 BK-16E assault boat, which provides fire support during coastal landings, rescue, and anti-sabotage missions, was destroyed in May 2022. In June 2022, a video showed the sinking of the Vasily Beck rescue tug, which was allegedly attacked by 2 Harpoon missiles. By late June, Ukraine had sunk a landing ship, numerous Russian support ships, and a missile cruiser. Ukrainian affairs looked to stabilize for several months. October 2022 saw the Ivan Golubets damaged in an attack in Sevastopol, Crimea. Ukraine reported 9 UAVs and 7 marine drones, small ships that launch kamikaze assaults on larger boats, in that incident. Another sign of Ukraine's changing approach to Russia's fleet. In addition to missiles, it used aerial and water-based drones to attack Russia's Black Sea fleet without pilots. Russia has greatly slowed Black Sea operations by this point. Ukraine couldn't sink more ships because its feared fleet was few. Russia's fleet couldn't exert pressure or form a southern Ukrainian front. Ship strategy and situation. Ukraine's targeted strikes on Russia's Black Sea fleet have severely weakened its naval capacity. In September 2023, Ukraine used Bayraktar drones to destroy a Project 640 patrol boat, followed by attacks on Minsk, Olenigorsky Gornyak, and another unnamed landing ship. These ships, while smaller than the Saratov, could still transport 500 tons of cargo and 340 men. Despite some ships being salvageable, Russia couldn't afford repairs, especially for the Minsk. In subsequent months, Ukraine continued its strikes, destroying more Russian landing craft and warships. Ukraine's drones and cruise missiles notably sank multiple Rapucha-class landing ships, including the Novichokazk in December 2023 and the Sazakunikov in February 2024. The Askold missile cruiser was hit in November 2023, and the Ivanovets were destroyed by Magura 5-5 drones in February 2024. By March, Ukraine targeted more Rapucha-class vessels, including the Yamal and Azov, and destroyed the Konstantin Olshansky amphibious landing ship. In April 2024, Ukraine damaged the Ivankur intelligence ship, a key asset for tracking drones. These strikes have crippled Russia's ability to carry out Black Sea operations, particularly its landing capabilities and missile attacks on Ukraine's coast. With its warships and intelligence vessels decimated, Russia's Black Sea fleet is now largely ineffective. Russia's large fleet, which exceeds 750 ships, struggles to maintain its dominance in the Black Sea. Despite its numerical advantage, Russia has failed to protect its naval assets, which are vulnerable to Ukraine's drone and missile attacks. This undermines Russia's naval strategy, highlighting the increasing difficulty of defending against Ukraine's tactical innovations. Turkish influence. Russia's ambitions in the Black Sea are blocked by Turkey's control over the Turkish Straits, which link the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Historically, Turkey's control of the Dardanelles and Bosporus gave it dominance over the Black Sea, turning it into a virtual Turkish lake. After the 1936 Montreux Convention, the Soviet Union gained some influence, but Turkey maintained control of the straits, especially after Romania and Bulgaria joined NATO in 2004. In the context of the Ukraine war, Russia is unable to add ships to its Black Sea fleet, as Turkey closed the Turkish Straits to non-Black Sea military vessels. This move has bolstered Ukraine's security and limits Russia's naval options. The Montreux Convention prevents Russia from sending additional ships, and any push into the Black Sea risks Ukrainian missile and drone attacks. Russia may try to convince Turkey to reopen the straits, but doing so could allow NATO and Ukraine's allies to strengthen Ukraine's naval presence, undermining Russia's position. Likely, Turkey will keep the straits sealed to limit Russia's naval activity and protect Ukraine. As a result, Russia's Black Sea strategy faces significant obstacles, and alternative routes, such as the Baltic Sea, could become more important. Baltic Fleet. Kaliningrad's port and Russia's 43-ship Baltic Fleet are effectively isolated. Surrounded by Ukrainian allies, Poland and Lithuania, Russia can't deploy soldiers across the Baltic Sea into Ukraine or Belarus, especially since the Suwalki Gap, a crucial passage to Belarus, is now blocked by the war. This hampers Russia's ability to use Belarus for its invasion of Ukraine, rendering the Baltic Fleet ineffective. In September 2022, Foreign Policy reported that Russia has abandoned using the Baltic Fleet to pressure Ukraine, with sailors being reassigned to ground forces instead. Meanwhile, the Black Sea Fleet, meant to support landings and missile strikes, is shrinking, with a third of its ships damaged or destroyed. Turkey's control of the Turkish Strait further limits Russia's ability to reinforce the fleet. This strategic miscalculation highlights Russia's struggle, particularly as Ukrainian drone and missile strikes have weakened its naval power, thwarting its initial expectations of a swift victory. Russian Navy future. Black Sea Fleet challenges. Russia's future Navy plans seem uncertain, with an expected fleet of 38 smaller craft and 12 new warships in 2024. While this marks an increase in ship numbers, doubling the 2010s average, many reports highlight issues. The new vessels are lighter and less armed, with smaller ships being potentially unreliable. Russia's reliance on self-built engines, after losing Ukraine as a supplier, limits the power of these vessels, particularly smaller ones. The focus on smaller ships impacts Navy tonnage, which represents a fleet's overall power. The U.S. Navy, for example, is stronger than China's despite having fewer ships, thanks to greater tonnage. Russia's Navy displaced only 1.21 million tons in 2019, far less than the U.S.'s 3.6 million tons. While submarines are prioritized, Russia's smaller surface ships are vulnerable to missile and drone strikes, as seen in Ukraine. Russia's shipbuilding strategy, marked by a focus on submarines and small ships, is flawed. Despite increased ship production, delays due to material shortages and Western sanctions are weakening the Navy. Even with more ships, Russia's Navy risks becoming weaker overall, particularly against the U.S. and NATO. Corruption. Corruption is a major reason for the poor state of Russia's Navy, with officials siphoning funds meant for its improvement. In August 2023, AOAV reported on military corruption, revealing that the state armament program aimed at reviving the Navy to Soviet-era levels has been plagued by mismanagement. A naval officer and 2 contractors were jailed for embezzling 692 million rubles from a missile upgrade project. The officer chose an unapproved contractor, a common tactic in Russian procurement, where kickbacks follow the execution of orders. As a result, only a third of the planned frigates and a fifth of the corvettes have been delivered. The Navy suffers from neglect, wasted funds, and unfulfilled orders due to corruption and bureaucracy. With its naval power weakened, Russia faces the risk of losing its dominance, as a large fleet is useless if its ships remain non-functional. Thanks for watching. Russia previously anticipated its Navy to help in the Ukraine war, but it has failed miserably. Russia faces present and long-term issues. Your thoughts on the Russian Navy's future? Post your comments below and like and subscribe to the channel to avoid missing future content.